Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me for my January 2021 Throwback Thursday video. Today, I'm going to talk about a very famous and influential duo with the Muhlenberg County connection. Today, we're talking about the Everly Brothers. Don Everly will soon be celebrating his 84th birthday. He was born in Brownie, outside of Central City, on February 1, 1937, to Muhlenberg County natives Ike and Margaret Embry Everly. Phil, sadly, passed away in January 2014 at the age of 74. He was born on January 19, 1939 in Chicago. The brothers grew up in Shenandoah, Iowa, and then Knoxville, Tennessee. They had started their musical career singing with their parents on radio in Iowa, and in 1955 they moved to Nashville. They recorded Bye Bye Love in 1957, which broke through all the way to number 2 on the pop charts, number 1 on the country chart, and number 5 on the R&B charts. The song would become only their first of several million-selling records. The brothers continued to score numerous chart hits throughout the early 1960s when they entered the United States Marine Corps. The brothers served in the Marines for only a few months, but that service impacted their ability to tour and promote their music. Combined with their struggles to deal with the stress and pressures of fame, that led to declining sales, and they eventually split to pursue solo careers in the 70s. But they reunited in 1983, and 5 years later, they returned to Muhlenberg County and started a series of yearly homecoming concerts that would last into the 2000s. The Everly Brothers' legacy is more than just their own music, however. They had an impact on numerous other talented musicians too, as is evidenced by the list of musicians they brought here to Muhlenberg County as part of their homecoming concerts. That list includes Chet Atkins, who had worked with the brothers early in their career, John Prine, Billy Ray Cyrus, and many, many more successful performing artists. Even more musicians admired the Everlys, even if they didn't perform together. The Beatles were heavily influenced by the Everly Brothers. In fact, the first time Paul McCartney ever performed on stage, it was reportedly an Everly Brothers song. They even referred to themselves as the British Everly Brothers, and allegedly based their arrangement of Please Please Me on the Everlys' Cathy's Clown. Among many others, the brothers have also been praised by Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, Neil Young, Vince Gill, and Paul Simon, who worked with them for his 1986 song Graceland. Paul Simon also performed Bye Bye Love with Don Everly in Nashville in 2018 during his own farewell tour. This is the most recent known performance by Don. The brothers also toured and were close friends with Buddy Holly until his untimely death in February 1959. Holly even wrote the song Wishing for the Everly Brothers, according to Don, although he ended up recording it himself. The brothers have been recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Vocal Group Hall of Fame, and the Rockabilly Hall of Fame, and they have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They were honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 1997 Grammy Awards, and Rolling Stone magazine named them at number 33 on its 100 Greatest Artists of All Time list in 2004 and the updated list in 2011. Muhlenberg County is indeed fortunate and proud to claim the Everly Brothers as part of our musical heritage. I'm at the Muhlenberg County Music Museum with Central City Tourism Director Freddie Mayes. We don't have a lot of Everly Brothers memorabilia at Thistle Cottage, but he has a pretty significant collection here available for viewing by the public, so we thought we would come here and let him show off a little bit of what he has available.
Welcome to Muhlenberg County Music Museum, where we feature actually Muhlenberg County music heritage with a number of different artists that have come from our community. The most famous, of course, are the Everly Brothers, and we're here today to talk about their role, in terms of music in our area and across the world. So we have a number of things on display for the Everly Brothers. We have a lot of memorabilia that was shared by the brothers, by their families, by their friends, and then items that were collected during the years that they were doing festivals here from 1988 to 2002. One of the features I'm standing beside is a car that belonged to Don Everly. The brothers, during those concert years, enjoyed coming enough that Don eventually purchased the lodge at Lake Malone, and he was there regularly until it actually burned. When it burned and he decided to move back to Nashville, he did not take this car with him, but he left it for us to use as a display item in the museum. So this is one of many things we have with the Everly Brothers. And again, come down and give us a look. We'd be happy to let you even stand beside it for a photo op. That would be a great idea as well. Behind us, we have also a collection of gold records that have come out of Muhlenberg County. These are actually featuring 3 different artists, but most of the gold records you'll recognize are from the Everly Brothers. During their heyday, from the late 50s into the middle 60s and beyond, they had one gold record after another. And so this is actually a tribute to all those gold records. Just beneath those records, the list of gold records, you see many of their LPs. We have lots of the albums that they had done through the years, as well as a number of 45s that were donated to the museum by a fan from Las Vegas, actually, that attended a number of our music festivals, and she actually passed those on to the museum. So we have those on display as well. None of those are for sale, unfortunately. They are simply for viewing, so come by and check those out as well. As we move a little further into the museum, one of our great features here is a jukebox that was actually a 1953 model that was refurbished and is fully functioning. We have it wired so that there are no coins required in order to operate the jukebox. We have all the Everly Brothers gold records in there, as well as music from some of the other artists out of our community. And so again, as you're in the museum checking things out, feel free to play a song or two. Singing, dancing is allowed, so come and join us there as well. Okay. In this section of the museum, we feature the Everly Brothers. Again, I mentioned we have other artists that we'll talk about at another time. But behind me, these stand-ups are the brothers as they appeared when they first made the big time, and that would have been in about 1958. The brothers, of course, were raised in a musical family, and although they spent many of their early years, their childhood years, outside the area, they still called this home. Don was actually born here, moved away when he was very young. Phil was born in Chicago. But in spite of their moves across the country, they still called this home. So the homecoming event for the brothers was in 1988. And when they came back to town, there was actually a parade and a family reunion and a closing concert. That first concert drew over 5,000 people, and it was such a success that the idea was to continue that. So every Labor Day weekend from 1988 to 2002, the brothers came back to host and to play for Everly Brothers fans from all over the world. In our museum now, we've been actually tracking our guests over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. We now have had guests from 49 different states and 18 different countries. So the brothers' international appeal is still very, very strong. So during those 18 years, we had great artists to come and be a part of those music shows, and the brothers, of course, they were the anchor for all of that during that period of time. Again, they call this home, which is fortunate for us. As we walk around this whole area, we have photos of the brothers from their earliest years when they first started performing with their parents. They were actually, Phil was 5 and Don was 7 when they first did radio work. And they stayed in music then, of course, until they broke off on their own. At the time they'd done that, Phil was 17 and Don was 19. And then they had their first gold record a year later, just one after another from that point on. One of the interesting things about the Everly Brothers is not just their success for their careers, but how they influenced other artists as well. So in the display behind me, we've added some quotes that actually come from really famous musicians and the impact that the Everly Brothers had on their careers. So when you get people like Paul McCartney and people like Paul Simon and people like Vince Gill that are saying that they tried to pattern themselves after your music, that certainly says a lot. So those items, are on display in the museum as well. The Everly Brothers' career, of course, spanned a number of decades, and during that course of time, of course, they obtained international acclaim. It should be pointed out that the brothers are members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Songwriters Hall of Fame. They also have a star on the Hollywood Boulevard, which kind of pays tribute to their extreme success. I should mention, even in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they were inducted into the very first class of people that went into that Hall of Fame. So that's with the likes of Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis, Buddy Holly, Chubby Checkers, all those people that are really famous for rock and roll, they were in that very first class. The display directly behind me actually pays tribute to the festival years. Again, that was 15 years from 1988 to 2002 when the brothers were coming and hosting. We have along with us a number of photographs that show the artists that were coming, and there's a plaque that's on display that shows the artists by name every year that we had those festivals. During those years, John Prine was here for about half of those festivals, and so having to be able to lay claim to both the Everly Brothers and John Prine, is certainly a great tribute for us. And for them to be here at the same time and to be able to close out shows for us by singing the song Paradise was really a great treat for us. Then as we go a little further, we actually celebrate those concert years a little more. And then even there's one connection here to Shenandoah, Iowa. The Everly Brothers actually grew up, when they left Chicago, they were in Shenandoah. So we have actually a t-shirt that was brought to us by one of the people in the Shenandoah Museum for the brothers. And then finally, as you may be aware, in this corner we have a tribute to Phil Everly. Don Everly is still living. Don lives in Nashville. Don is either 82 or 83 years old now, lives in Nashville. Phil passed away about 6 years ago, and so we have this tribute, to Phil and what he meant to our community. Their father, Ike, is buried locally, actually, and a portion of Phil's ashes are buried locally as well. Their mom is still living as well. She is now 100 or maybe 101 now and lives in Nashville as well.
That was great. It was really interesting, and they have some really cool stuff here. So I highly recommend, if you are interested in our county heritage, especially the musical heritage, that you come by and look at the collection here at the Muhlenberg County Music Museum. They are open 9 to 4 from Monday through Friday, and the first Saturday of the month from 9 to 2. So you can come by and check out their collection during those times, and I highly recommend that you do so. Thank you for joining us today for this Throwback Thursday look at our county's history. We appreciate you joining us and hope you have a great day.